So let's go to the inputs. What inputs do we have? Project management plan acts as an input for everything, almost everything. Again, we can consider the cost management plan, quality management plan, or scope baseline, all these things as inputs for estimating the costs. The project documents, what documents can serve as inputs? You can see the project documents here and also in the outputs. This is just a non-updated version, and here we have an updated version. So again, the enterprise environmental factors is important, and organizational process assets we have to carry. Let's move to the tools and techniques. Expert judgment, the expert consultancy. What kind of expert can we consult here? For cost estimation, an expert can be consulted. The industry or discipline expert, he can be consulted here. So the next tool is analogous estimating. Analogous estimating, I think we have learned in the previous process. This is nothing but getting the experience from the previous project and then estimating the current project. So kind of copy paste. This is just an estimation, not the actual value. So not exactly the copy paste. So parametric estimation. So this same experience plus statistics, that is the parametric estimation. When we talk about bottom up estimating, this is nothing but the work breakdown structure, right? So when in the work breakdown structure, we have a bigger work. It is divided to, let's say, 3 smaller works, and then each of this work is further divided into smaller works further, or activities as we call it. So starting from here, everything is estimated. So for these 3 activities, we have estimated an amount. So all these 3 together will form the budget for this process, right? So similarly for this process, again, this will go up. So that is called the bottom up estimating, right? So starting from the very bottom activity to the topmost final project, that's bottom up estimating. 3-point estimating, I think we have learned 3-point estimating for the scheduling yesterday, but I think if you remember, the 3-point estimating was an average of T0 plus TM plus TP by 3. So this was for the scheduling, but here, because we are talking about the cost, it's CE is equal to C0 plus CM plus CP by 3. So CM is nothing but the estimation that we have done from the past experience, and C0 is the worst case scenario, and CP is the best case scenario. Okay, what else do we have? Data analysis. What type of data analysis can we use? We can use alternative analysis that we have learned. We can use reserve analysis. Reserve analysis is nothing but how much money we have reserved if in case we run out of the costs, right? So we reserve money in case of discrepancies. And one more analysis method could be the cost of quality. In case of quality issues occur, what kind of money we have to spend for the repairs, for the correction of the quality. And of course, the project management information systems is a very important tool. And decision making techniques, like voting that we have learned in the very first process, that can be used as an important tool here. Let's move to the third process, determining the budget. Again, is this performed throughout, or is this performed at predefined points? You guessed it right. This is performed only at predefined time points, not done throughout the project. So the budget will include all the funds that are authorized to execute the project. So that is how we determine the budget. So let's quickly take a look at our target outputs. We have 3 target outputs. We have to baseline the cost. What happens here? First, we have the approved budget. So that will be the result of this cost baseline. So summary of all different time phase budgets. So we gather at what point of time, how much was the budget, and then we gather it, we summarize it. So that is this summary here. So if you recollect the EVM diagram, the traditional methods name it as a cost baseline. So, but the latest trends are calling it as performance baselines. So cost baseline, it's also called as performance baseline in the latest trend, because now you have seen, right, the if you remember the S curve, we used to just take the consideration of cost in the vertical column, not the horizontal column. Now, with the emerging trends, we are also considering the horizontal column, that is the trends. So this was the cost, and here there was time, and there was an S curve. So we used to estimate everything with the cost, right? So that is why it was called cost baseline by the PMBOK guide. But now with the emerging trends, they are also calling it as performance baseline. I think it's better that we have to understand this better in a whiteboard. We have time here, we have cumulative value here, and then we have a cost baseline. We learned at the end of the project, this is called BAC. So this is the curve of the expenditures, and at some point of time, it reaches the cost baseline curve. So where are our funding requirements? Funding requirements are somewhere here. So this is the total planned budget if you consider. And then we talked about reserves, right? So reserves are somewhere here. So this is the final budget, and this is the reserves. So we know that with the estimation line, the project manager knows that at the end of the project, this is what I'm targeting as a cost, and also, of course, the time in the new emerging trends. But then the budget will be requested above this point. Why? Because we need to have these reserves that I'm talking about, the quality reserves. Don't just think about all this time cost. It's important that you learn what these reserves are, how this cost plan finally looks like, right? So this is how the cost baseline looks like. When consider an example or question where you are asked to identify the cost baseline. Cost baseline is nothing scary. That is this curve. The S curve is the cost baseline. So this is our final output, or the first output.